No heroics into Sandoval, please.
Cheers, Jeff.
Hey guys, it's James here. Welcome back to another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode video. We are here for episode number 8 of Season 3 at the Hungarian Grand Prix. If you did miss the last episode in Silverstone, make sure to go check that one out. We had a pretty disastrous qualifying, but we made up for it with some good overtakes in the race. We had some pretty big battles as well, and so it was quite good fun. And the rain came at the end. There was a late safety car. There was all the drama you could imagine, but we only picked up 3 points, which wasn't ideal. Well, here at Hungary, it's a track that we are quite good at. We secured our first ever double podium here last year with some fantastic overtakes, and we have the new tyre wear upgrade on the car. So hopefully now our tyre wear will be absolutely fantastic, and we'll be able to run far better than what the strategy says. But we're now going to go, as we're advancing time, getting a couple more upgrades in, and we're going to go towards qualifying now for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So here we are then for qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix, just going over and checking the setup. It's our custom Hungary setup, so 5.8 wings. I think that works really, really well around this pretty high downforce circuit, and it suits the JamesNS racing car quite well. Now we come towards our final lap in qualifying. Didn't quite make it almost to the line. We only made it across the line with 5 seconds to go, but we start our final flying lap. We're currently in 6th, but I think we can do a lot better than that. Our first couple of laps were pretty scruffy, and so we've gained quite a lot of time through the first corner. We're already a full 10th up as we head now down towards turn number 2. Hungaroring is a pretty enjoyable track. It's like a kart track. The corners just keep coming at you. There's quite a nice elevation changes as well. We blast up the hill towards turn 4, where Hamilton and Verstappen went at it in 2019. And through the first sector, we're 2.5 tenths up. We don't want to touch that curb on the inside at all, otherwise the car will just spin round. Through the chicane, where Hamilton and Rosberg had their shenanigans in 2015. Take that nicely indeed. We head through the middle sector, trying to turn into all of these corners as early as you possibly can. You don't want to be late through this sector. You need to be getting through there as early as possible. 158 miles an hour was the lowest speed we went through that final corner of the middle sector. We are flying around here. We are almost half a second up on our previous best. Going through the penultimate corner, the last sector is where I'm not really that good at all. So we need to try and improve here, but we are doing that, just that. We're 6 tenths up, and where does it put us? We come across the line here in qualifying in Hungary. 3rd place, that's not too bad. Pretty good lap in the end. Daniel in 2nd. We're 3 tenths off the pole time, but that was a pretty good lap indeed. We'll be starting 3rd tomorrow.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of the Formula One World Championship. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have James, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz and Albon, Verstappen, De Vries, Kvyat and Valtteri Bottas, Stroll, Gasly, Sebastian Vettel and Ocon, Russell, Norris, Sergio Perez and Kevin Magnussen, Latifi, Giovinazzi, Joe and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
So here we are then for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Just looking at the strategy, it looks like a one-stop from soft to hard, but I'm pretty sure I could make a soft to medium strategy work. I don't think a 2-stop would be viable. It's been viable in previous seasons, but with our far better tyre wear, you'd think a one-stop would be the better choice. So there, it looks like a soft to medium. It will probably be doable. I'll say soft to hard, but in reality, we'll probably go soft to medium. But we're going to go to 5 red lights for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. The lights are off and so are we. It's showtime here in Budapest. It's been a great start from Daniel Ricciardo, a very poor start from Lewis Hamilton. Both the JNS racing cars have jumped the Britain. Down the inside of Ricciardo we go into the first corner to take the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Ricciardo loses out to Hamilton in the end, so he's down into third place. Like Vettel went from third to first in 2015, we've gone from third to first in season 3. If we get another look at the start, Hamilton got a huge amount of wheel spin off the line. You see the car didn't seem to go anywhere, so we were already up going through the middle. Daniel Ricciardo made a fantastic start. It looked like he'd go into the lead. He came across to cover the middle of the circuit, and we went down the inside. Ricciardo got caught up behind us, and so Lewis Hamilton just slipped through back up into second place. So Hamilton has gone from first to second. We've gone from third to first as we get our onboard camera. A good reaction to the lights. You see, we were very quick. Ricciardo was extremely quick in the first phase of the start. Now, you see the second phase, Hamilton bogs down with a lot of wheel spin. Ricciardo comes across to try and cover the outside, but we just take the inside line and say thank you very much for that, and we go up into the lead. If we get Hamilton's point of view as the lights come on, he gets a good initial launch off the line. You see there, he gets quite a decent launch, and then he just sort of revs out gear 2 a little bit. And so he's a bit wobbly through gear 4 as well. And you see he's bogged down. Ricciardo is already up ahead, and then we go down the inside of Ricciardo. You see us on the right-hand side of the screen. And so Ricciardo gets bogged down behind myself. We can't cut onto Ricciardo's point of view of the start. You see, he gets a great launch. In fact, he's well ahead of Lewis Hamilton straight away. Whilst Hamilton struggled through second gear, Ricciardo was straight up into the mix of the fight. He comes across to try and take the racing line. He doesn't realise just how close we are behind him. He gets caught up behind our rear left tyre, and so that allows Lewis Hamilton to get past him. Now, coming towards the end of the first lap, we are flying through the middle sector. Hungary is a really enjoyable track, and yet purple middle sector as well. You'd assume that, considering we are leading the Grand Prix on lap number 1, but Hungary is quite a flowing circuit as we head through the penultimate 2 corners. It's not really a circuit, though, I'm especially good at, I have to say. The final sector especially is often very, very tricky. But we get a good exit out of the final corner. Try and break the DRS, and we're 9/10 ahead of Hamilton with a new fastest lap at the end of lap number 1. Hamilton retook the fastest lap, and he is just 6/10 behind us, and we've changed the strategy. So Jeff encouraging us to change it from the hards to the mediums. We were going to do that anyway, but just to show the team is embracing the one-stop with the medium compound of tyre, we're going to do the exact same thing. Ricciardo is very, very close behind Lewis Hamilton, but he can't quite get the jump. Obviously, the Hungaroring is a circuit which is pretty difficult to overtake at, as Nick de Vries is out of the session with an engine failure. No safety car drama like we've had in the last 2 Grand Prix, though. Cut to the end of lap 10. Nothing's really happened except everybody else has pitted. We've extended our stint quite long on these soft tyres. The end of lap 10, it was supposed to be until the end of lap 8 or so. We've gone a couple of laps longer just to make sure that we can run the medium compound of tyre right until the end of this Grand Prix. And so you can see the likes of Stroll, Gasly and Vettel and Ocon, who all started on the medium compound of tyre. They're almost all a full pit stop behind us. Quite a slow stop in terms of the Formula 1 game, being 3.0 seconds there, but we do come out of the pits ahead of Esteban Ocon and behind Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly. Ricciardo behind Esteban Ocon. He's on the hard, so the game has obviously not embraced that. The team has not embraced that for Daniel Ricciardo be on the medium compound of tyre. Perhaps his earlier stop was hindering that, as now on lap number 12 we're chasing after Sebastian Vettel. We are comfortably in 4th place at the moment, but very much in the net lead of the Grand Prix. Even with a safety car, we will still jump this lot, as now we're chasing after Sebastian Vettel, but also the DRS has failed. You see that right, that's that red sort of exclamation mark as we go down the inside of Vettel into turn number 2, squeeze him out, and we're up into 3rd place. That was no contest really. He's on warm mediums, but look at that, DRS has failed. What a disaster. I was trying to negotiate these slower cars who haven't made their pit stops yet. Not having the help of DRS won't be good. So now we're chasing after Pierre Gasly, who does have the DRS. We're going to have to do this overtake the old-fashioned way. No manufactured DRS, just rich mix and overtake. Down the inside of Pierre Gasly we go. He's going to try the switchback maneuver. He gets a good exit out of the first corner. We go a little bit too deep. We're now side by side with the Frenchman heading down towards turn number 2. We squeeze him out. He's going to have another bite of the cherry through turn 2, but we're far enough ahead, and so we're up into what is now 2nd place. It will become 1st place, though, when Lance Stroll and this gaggle of cars comes in for a pit stop. chasing after Lance Stroll. We get to the third last corner, a 90-degree right-hander before these two slow, looping 180-degree corners. So I struggle to find the right place to really put the power down. I find it tricky to get a good exit out of the corner. The DRS has still failed as well. So again, this is going to have to be another old-fashioned overtake. But Stroll won't have DRS, so it might be a little bit easier than it was on Pierre Gasly. We went side by side all the way down towards turn number 2. We get to the right-hand side. We go down the inside of Lance Stroll from quite a long way back. He does leave us the room. He left the door open. We said thank you very much, and we are up into the lead of the Grand Prix, and we are 5.2 seconds ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. The DRS has still failed, though, as we're 1.4 seconds now ahead of Lance Stroll. That red exclamation marked box showing the DRS is still not comfortable. It's still failed. Luckily, the wing is slammed shut, so we can keep driving. If the wing was slammed open, we would not be able to control this car at all, and we'd have to come into the pit lane and perhaps retire the car. But because the DRS is slammed shut, we are okay with that. A new fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well. We don't even need the DRS. Thank you very much indeed for that. Imagine if we can take 26 points home today, that would be fantastic. The DRS is still failed on lap number 16. Ricciardo 5.7 seconds behind as well. So our teammate not really having a great race. Obviously, he's quite a long way behind in the championship. We're coming to the halfway point of the season. Spa spells the start of the second half of the season, and Ricciardo isn't really threatening us in the championship. If he does threaten us, we've got the DRS now. The DRS has finally come back online. Jeff, the engineer, has finally thought of the right thing to do. Now we lap Guan Yu Zhou on lap number 24. Nothing really happened between laps 16 and 24. We're just cruising around, increasing the gap to Ricciardo, who's on the hard compound of tyre. Max Verstappen and Alexander Albon and Lance Stroll all on the hard compound of tyre as well. Valtteri Bottas decided to do a two-stop in this race, and that has really not worked for him. We're 10 seconds ahead of Daniel Ricciardo with just a few laps left now in the Grand Prix. 8 laps to go. It's not really been that eventful, I have to say. We've just been trundling around, setting good lap times, being consistent, being consistently quick. You see a new personal best on these old tyres through that first sector there. We've been consistently quick. We've lost the fastest lap, but we don't need one superbly fantastic lap. We just need to keep the consistency up with just 6.5 laps to go. We're coming to lap Grosjean and Latifi, who seems to be having their own little scrap as well. It doesn't really matter how much they hold us up. The team wanted me to come in for another set of softs. I don't really know why, considering these mediums will get to the end quite comfortably with the new tyre wear upgrades. That tyre wear upgrade is a little bit overpowered, it must be said. We breezed past Grosjean, and we got the DRS from that as well. Latifi being a little bit more of a hash, but he does pull out the way at the exit of turn number 1. So thank you very much, and we have inherited not the position, but Latifi has just let us go past. He has finally been lapped. So we've lapped 3 cars in this Grand Prix, and now on lap 32, Ricciardo is still a long way behind. That was a pretty big mistake, to be fair. We missed the apex by a country mile. You could have put a whale between myself and the apex there. We are almost 11 seconds clear of Daniel Ricciardo, 25 seconds clear of Max Verstappen, 26 seconds clear of Alexander Albon. And it must be said, we are having a really good season. We've had a couple of wins now this season, a win in Austria and a win at Baku as well. The Baku win was extremely impressive. So this would be our 3rd win of the season in 8 races. But then again, we have been very consistent as well. We got 2 podiums in the first 2 rounds of the season, and we got a win in the 4th round of the season, a podium in Canada, which was the 5th round of the season, a win in Austria, the 6th round of the season, as we're now on the final lap, looking to take another win here at the 8th round of the season. We've been excellent. So today, 7.7 seconds the gap to Ricciardo. I did just turn the engine down for a bit and just cruise around, as we have nothing really to fight for. There's no point going for the fastest lap. It was sufficiently far ahead that there was no point risking chipping off some of the front wing, or even binning it in the wall perhaps at turn number 5, where you could get a big kick of oversteer. But it doesn't matter, because we're going to come out the final corner and win the Hungarian Grand Prix.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
So that was the Hungarian Grand Prix. We won by 7 seconds to Daniel Ricciardo. In second to another 1-2 for JNS Racing as well, which is pretty good. We're a long way ahead now in the driver's standings, and also in the constructor standings. We're a full 100 points clear. But that was the Hungarian Grand Prix. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. After a very, very good start into the first corner, we managed to get all the onboard footage for that. We just breezed into the lead of the race, and that was that really. That was the race done and dusted. We never receded that lead, except after our pit stop, but we got past those backmarked cars pretty quickly. And if you did enjoy this episode, make sure to give the video a like. Subscribe if you are new around here and you want to see Formula 1 content 3 times a week, and I will catch you in the next one. Later, guys.